Hello everyone, it's Anna, also known as Book Anna, and as you can see, I am doing another new releases for the month of September. Usually when I'm doing these videos, I do have around 15 to 20 books, but this month I only have 12 books. I just found 12 that I am personally interested in and that I feel like, well, if you're my audience, I presume you like the same books as I do, so I feel like you're going to be interested in these books. Most of them are horror books because we are coming in autumn. And during autumn, what else can you read besides horror? Literary fiction is for summer and spring, and autumn is reserved for horror books, to me at least, horror and fantasy. So you will see majority of these books are horror books, some are fantasy, and there are only 2 literary fictions, which is insane. I usually have 20 literary fictions, but I only have 2 now. The first date that I have is 1st of September, and 2 books are coming out that date. The first one is The Silenced by Deena Wallach. This is a YA horror book about a girl who decides to research some kind of girl school that was on a farm not very far from her, and she wants to do this research for some kind of subject in school. She's really smart, so she decides to go in these presumably haunted mansion type farm during the night, and she falls unconscious in the woods or somewhere. When she finally wakes up, she feels this desire all of a sudden for revenge that she didn't feel before, and she's probably possessed. So she tries to find out more about what happened in this school for girls, which when you say school for girls and horror, nothing good can come out of that. I feel like it's going to be pretty bloody. I mean, the cover itself is bloody, so I hope this book will be bloody as well. I want this book to be bloody. Yeah, that's the first one. And the second one, coming out September 1st, is The Mean Ones by Tatiana Schlote-Bonne. And this is an author that I already read by. I read Such Lovely Skin not long ago, and it was my anticipated read from the last year. And I really enjoyed it very much. I had such a good time reading this book, so I'm very excited for her new book. This is her adult horror debut, I believe, because the last one was YA horror, so I think it is another possession story. A girl that, well, this is about a woman who is now living quite a normal life. She doesn't really have anything much in her life happening, but she has these weird voices in her head by animals that are dead, and also by some man that she doesn't know who this man is, but she can hear him in her head, and her therapist is saying that this is just PTSD. Now you would ask yourself, why does this normal girl have PTSD? Well, that's because 17 years ago she saw her friends get brutally bludgeoned to death. With all of this happening now to her, she decides to go to a cabin with her boyfriend. And in this cabin, she starts having these feelings that are very, again, not her own feelings. And some things are trying to come out of her, like mentally, some like things that she just repressed deep inside of her. So, I don't know, but I do feel like it could be another possession story potentially. Third book that I'm going to be talking about is Moonflow, and this one is coming out 2nd of September. Moonflow by Bitter Karella. Amazing name, I have to say. Amazing name and amazing cover for this book. It is so neon, bright neon, and I knew instantly what this book is going to be about. This is a book where people are trying to get really, really high so they can understand the universe, because when you get high from these, I think they're mushrooms. It doesn't say what exactly the substance is, but it grows in the forest. When you get high from it, you understand everything. And this group of people are trying to find these mushrooms in the forest. And the forest has something without a face in it, or they see something without a face in it, so we don't really know what they see. Is it true or not? This book sounds very psychedelic. It is also LGBTQ horror. Well, when you have a narrator that is under some kind of substance, you cannot really trust them, so I feel like it is going to be not a trustworthy narrator, which is amazing. And I just cannot wait to read this book. Honestly, it just looks so crazy. It looks really psychedelic, and I like psychedelic books, and I like psychedelic covers, and the name of the author I really, really like. I just want to read this book based on the name of the author. I am bitter that I am not called bitter. Anyway, so the next book that is coming out September 2nd is A Blood as Bright as the Moon by Andrea Morstabilini. I'm sorry if I butchered the last name. I really don't know how you pronounce it, but it is a horror vampire book, and it has a very, very specific premise. It is about a group of vampires that are trying to manufacture wings and then fly to the moon with them because they don't feel like they belong on Earth. They feel like they are going to be hunted down by somebody, and they could potentially be hunted down because there is a group of people who would do very sinister things to these vampires, so they need to escape somehow. But manufacturing wings and then flying to the moon, I don't know how that would work. Do they have like astronaut suits or something? It doesn't say it's sci-fi. So are these vampires able to... Well, actually, you know what? Vampires don't breathe. So if vampires were real, I mean, I'm not saying they aren't real, but if we knew for a fact vampires were real, they would be great astronauts. You wouldn't need to put them in suits. They don't breathe. They don't their body temperature it doesn't go up and down. So vampires would be great astronauts. We should, as a humanity, manufacture vampires if they do not exist, and then make them astronauts. It's a very specific premise, and it sounds like it could be fun and weird, and not like anything I read by so far, definitely. I never read about vampires trying to fly to the moon, so... The third book coming out on this date is A Land So Wide by Erin A.Craig. I already read by Erin A.Craig. I do enjoy her works. Every book that she wrote, I do think it's a horror book, either YA or adult. I did read House of Salt and Sorrow. I didn't read the sequel to it yet. And I did read Small Favors, which I liked very much. Anyway, A Land So Wide is another horror gothic book, and the synopsis of this really reminds me of Small Favors. This book takes place in a village that is surrounded by woods, and people from this village use wood from these woods for like everything in the village. They build everything, but you cannot stay during the night in the woods because there are some other things there that they don't really know what they are. And our main character is a cartographer, and she wants to go outside of this village. She wants to explore the world and write her explorations on a paper, like make a map. And she has a girlfriend, and this girlfriend wants to go with her, but then this girlfriend, for some reason, goes into the woods and doesn't come back. So now our main character needs to go into the woods and find her girlfriend. The next book that I have comes out 9th of September, and it is The Macabre by Kosoko Jackson. Now, I read synopsis of this book, I think more than 5 times, and I don't understand it. I'm sorry, I cannot tell you what this book exactly is about. The cover of this book looks amazing, and I can tell you what I understood from the synopsis, but don't quote me on anything. It is a book about an artist who isn't very famous, but then one day British Museum gets interested in his works and they want to do an exhibit. So he decides, yeah, of course, I'm going to do an exhibit. But also he feels like when he's painting, he paints some things by accident, some things that aren't very friendly, maybe they're a bit horror-y things, and he has this painting of a painting that is done through generations of his family. And then when he goes to this exhibit, he finds a museum curator that says to him that he needs to destroy 10 paintings for some reason. So I don't know if it's about jumping into paintings and just like then experience the world in these paintings, or is it just about finding these paintings in the real world and destroying them? I'm not sure, but it has involved art, horror, and it's queer. So that's enough for me. And the next book that is coming out 9th of September is Hot Wax by A.Craig. Already read by A.Craig. I read Graveyard Shift. It is like their novella and it was fine. It wasn't anything special, but I did hear about Hot Wax last year when I was reading Graveyard Shift. So it's a book that I've been expecting for quite a long time. First part takes place in 1989 when there's this concert where our 10-year-old main character goes to with her mother and her mother's new husband. And during this concert, she sees some things that she wasn't supposed to see. So from then on, she's trying to escape. I don't know if that means mentally escape or physically escape, but she's trying to escape somehow. And then 29 years later, her father dies, and that makes her think about all the things that she's seen on this concert. So she decides to search for answers. And her husband isn't really happy with her searching for answers and isn't really happy with just her trying to go and do something about this. So kind of reminds me of We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix, which is a book that I read last year and I didn't like it at all. I thought it was going to be amazing because it is a book that involves music and horror and a woman on a road trip trying to find some answers. This one is not metal music, but rock and roll music is somehow involved. I don't know, but it does remind me of that. I do hope, however, that when I read it, it is not going to be reminding me of We Sold Our Souls. Okay, now I have a book that I already started reading because I got an early copy from NetGalley, and that is Millennium Bug by Yvonne Knop. This one should come out 15th of September. At least for now, I'm really enjoying this book. I'm having such a good time reading it. I would say that this is a book for lovers of absurdity and just hilarious, very, very humoristic fantasy books like Dungeon Crawler Carl or Hitchhiker's Guide to a Galaxy or Terry Pratchett maybe even. It just gives me that vibe from what I read until now. We have our main character David, who holds a board game store, and one morning a book flows through the window and hits him in his head. And when he looks at the cover of the book, the book is essentially his life. And it's very detailed descriptions of his life that nobody should know, but somehow somebody wrote a book about his life. And also he doesn't remember parts of this, but it does feel like it is the things that he went through. And then that night, a mysterious figure that looks like a person but is not really a person shows up and tells him, "Hey yo, I'm an author and I need that book back because this guy's life is done. I mean, his book is done, which means his life is done, and you are not this person." And then he's like, "What do you mean I'm not that person? This is my life." And now he's trying to find out what is actually happening. It is so absurd. I like now explain to you like the beginning, but I cannot even explain what is actually happening in this book for now. I just know they're like a cosmic authors and that are writing every person's story, and this David guy who is pretty hilarious, and I'm liking it so far. I'm really, really enjoying this book, and I feel like for now it has only 8 readings on Goodreads as I see, but I do feel like a lot of people would really like this book, so it has really good ratings. So I do think that when it comes out, if you like fantasy and absurd books, you should pick this one up because it is pretty absurd. Then I have a book called Fiend by Alma Katsu, which is a generational family lore book about a family that owns the biggest export-import company in the world, one of the biggest, and they're very blessed because all of their competitors, something happens to them, they die or they need to shut down their company for some reason, so they feel like, you know, something is watching over them, but then it turns out that this blessing is more like a curse because some things are starting to happen and now they need to maybe potentially kill each other for some reason, which is unknown, because of this curse or something. Also, this book should come out 16th of September. The other book that should come out 16th of September is The Wilderness by Angela Flournoy. This is a literary fiction, finally a literary fiction book on this list, and I'm not going to go into details what it is about because it follows 5 different POVs, 5 different women trying to get through their young adult years with, I think one is married, one about pregnancy, the other is like about her job. Anyway, we are following all of them trying to just live through their early 30s or something like that. And that's enough for me. I just like books that are following normal people doing normal things, and we're following their friendship and what their friendship means to each of them. And the cover, again, is really, really pretty. I really like it. It's strange, and the design of this house or whatever it is very questionable, but also I like it. And then a book that is coming out 23rd of September is a book that I feel like a lot of people are expecting, and that would be We Love You Bunny by Awad. A sequel that nobody knows was going to come out until it was revealed that there's a sequel, because Bunny should have been a standalone. I'm not going to not read the sequel of the Bunny. So I didn't read synopsis for this book because I already know that I like Awad's writing, and I already know that I did like Bunny, and whatever she writes, I will read it. I don't want to spoil anything from the first book if nobody read it. If somebody didn't read it. I feel like a lot of people read it. But if somebody didn't read the first book, I don't want to spoil it. Only thing I'm going to say is it follows our main character a few years later when she published her own work. And then after she published it, we are following her, something happened. And the last book that I have that is coming 30th of September is The Dust Settles North by Deena ElGenaidi. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. This is a book that happens during 2012 Arab Spring Uprising. We are following siblings going back to Egypt to bury their now deceased mother. And whilst they're there, they find out that their father did something very bad and then just left. So now they need to deal with it. So the sister doesn't go to college as she got into Columbia. She doesn't go to Columbia. She decides to stay in Egypt and deal with this. And her brother goes back to America, but he's just self-destructive. And then month after this all happens, they return to Cairo during this Arab Spring Uprising, which I have to say I'm not big in history, so I don't know what Arab Spring Uprising is. I need to check what that is, but it sounds like a point of view that I didn't read that many books from, and I also like sibling stories and family stories, so yeah. The cover as well, really, really pretty. Thank you for watching this video. As always, I would love to hear if there's any anticipated reads that you know about that I didn't mention in the comments. If you want to leave a comment, please do. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!